I'm going to tell you about 17 broken songwriting myths. They're wrong. 17 ways you can screw up your songwriting career and you might never realize it. Two quick things first. One, I always leave awesome links in the description. Check there for more help working through these myths. Number two, spoiler. In the past month, you've acted as if the last 3 myths are true. Watch to the end. Here are 17 broken songwriting myths to help you straighten out your songwriting. There are others, but these are the biggest myths that hold back songwriters. Songwriting myth number 1. Songwriting should be easy. Popular songs aren't super complicated, so it seems logical that songwriting should be easy. But just because popular songs seem simple doesn't mean writing them is. Here's why. First, it's easier to imagine a finished song than to actually follow through all the steps and write it. 2, it's easy to be overwhelmed with the endless possibilities in songwriting. You can get stuck because there are too many choices. Third, it takes time to learn songwriting, to practice songwriting skills, and it takes time to write songs. So songwriting isn't easy. Songwriting isn't hard. Songwriting is complicated. Songwriting myth 2, the myth of instant songs. This myth is so common I wrote an entire article just about it. I hate this myth. You hear stories of songwriters who wrote a song in 10 minutes or 30 minutes, but when you try it, you can't do it. Just a little frustrating, right? While these are great stories, they're actually the exception to the rule. Read them carefully. In most cases, only part of the song was actually written in under an hour. Do a little digging. There are hundreds of articles that quote the same 30 or so popular stories. If instant songs were the standard, there'd be hundreds of thousands of these stories, not a few dozen. A subset of this myth is the myth of instant success. We all have this dream. You write an amazing song that becomes a viral sensation. Or you post your song and somehow it gets the attention of a major artist who records it. And all you have to do is sit back and wait for the royalty checks to land in your retirement bank account. What a great story, except it's incredibly rare. You've got a better chance with a lottery ticket. Keep watching to the end. You've believed the last 3 myths this month. Songwriting myth number 3. Songwriting is linear. The most common songwriting mistake is thinking that you should start writing at the first line and work through the song to the last line in order. Writing the way you'd sing it or the audience would hear it. Songwriting, like any creative act, isn't a straight line. It's chaotic. It can feel random. There's a logic to it, but songwriting isn't logical. It's more spiral. Remember, what you write first could end up anywhere in the song. I've changed the order of the verses. I've changed the chorus to a verse. I've changed the music from the bridge and put it in the chorus. It doesn't matter. You can change what you write later. Write a hit and you can retire is songwriting myth number 4. This is thinking that you're only one song away from fame, fortune, and a comfortable retirement. It's believing that songwriting is your key to avoiding work, or avoiding a job, or avoiding building a sustainable music career. Have you ever noticed that the most successful songwriters and artists keep busy creating after they've made it big? That's because they love what they're doing. It's that love that helps make them great. They aren't in it just for the money or the possibility of a life of leisure. The key to a successful career and your goal should be a reputation of being able to write quality songs with anyone at any time, that you can produce whenever it's needed. Then other songwriters will want to work with you and artists will want to perform your songs. Songwriting myth number 5. Someone might steal my songs. Worrying about someone stealing your song lyrics or your ideas or your song title is just fear talking. It's a natural phase that most songwriters go through when they're writing their first dozen songs, long before your songs are even good enough to steal. It's also relatively rare. Of the few cases I've heard of, it's more often someone that you know, a co-writer or producer who registers themselves as the sole songwriter, cutting others out from their share of the songwriting royalties. But a song isn't worth money until it's been commercially released and becomes popular. A song is worth money because songwriting royalties that come from a song being performed or played. So a song has to be professionally recorded, released, and promoted before it's actually worth any money. It's not really worth anyone's time to find a song in social media and steal it. The act of writing the song is in some ways the easiest part of making money with songwriting. Number 6, you're born with musical talent. This is another myth that causes big problems for songwriters. The myth of songwriting talent shows up in the media, in music journalism, and in everyday conversations. Every time I hear that an artist or performer or songwriter is talented, a little piece of me dies. It's not talent, it's practice. Beyonce, Adele, Jimi Hendrix, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart all practiced their craft. Songwriters, musicians, and athletes don't have supernatural talents that set them apart from everyone else. Scientific research confirms what musicians and athletes have always known. It's not about natural abilities, it's about dedicated practicing. Musical ability, whether playing or writing songs, is a collection of skills that you can improve with deliberate practice. You develop your songwriting skills by combining songwriting knowledge with practice. This is good news. It means you can do it too, if you're willing to put in the work. If you're nodding your head to any of these, hit like and keep watching. We're up to songwriting myth number 7. You can't teach songwriting. This comes from songwriters who've tried crappy songwriting courses or had bad experiences with teachers. Or it's a variation of the born with songwriting talent myth. If songwriting is what you're born with, then you can't learn it. And if you can't learn it, nobody can teach it. But this whole line of reasoning is silly because you can learn songwriting. And it's even faster if someone teaches you. I teach it. But it takes solid knowledge and practice, both as a songwriter and as a teacher, to teach it properly. Some teach it better than others. Remember, songwriting is a series of skills that you can learn and be taught. It's important to practice your skills to put the teaching into practice. If you can learn something, you can learn it faster from the right teacher. Songwriting myth 8. You need to write 100 bad songs to learn songwriting. This is an old songwriter's saying. There are variations in how it's worded. Basically, the only way to write excellent songs is to write 100 bad songs first. 50 years ago, this was true. You had to learn songwriting by trial and error. For example, by writing 100 bad songs, or by co-writing with a songwriter that knew more than you, or by analyzing great songs and emulating those songs. Now you can find songwriting teachers who can show you how to flatten that learning curve so that you can write better songs sooner. You can study songwriting in music colleges and universities, in-person lessons, or online songwriting courses. You only have to figure out songwriting on your own if you want to. There are other ways. Songwriting inspiration will find you. Myth number 9. I only write songs when I'm inspired. Is a great way to accomplish nothing. It's a variation on the songwriting should be easy myth with the false belief that if songwriting is hard, or if it takes work, you're doing it wrong. I also call this waiting for inspiration. It's waiting to try instead of taking the initiative and getting to work. Inspiration comes from action. It doesn't come from thinking about songwriting. Ask yourself, what would you tell your child if they told you they'd only do their homework if they felt inspired? Thought so. Songwriting myth 10. Inspiration is enough to finish a song. Sometimes you can rely on inspiration to write most of or all of a song in a single session. Some professional songwriters also rely on years of experience in a songwriting process to help them write quickly before the initial inspiration dries up. Many songwriters, including me, write a draft, then edit it, taking more than one songwriting session to complete the final draft of an entire song. Inspiration has an emotional component, so it's unreliable. Develop your songwriting process so that you can finish your songs even when inspiration fails. Your songwriting process is what gets songs written. It's how you go from that brilliant flash of inspiration to a finished song. Inspiration is only the first step. Hard work guarantees songwriting success. Myth number 11. Hard work doesn't create success. It only creates the opportunity for success. You can work hard at all the wrong things. Listen, if your guitar string is sharp and you tighten it, what's going to happen? I prefer to work smart. Songwriting is more than just writing a great song. Once it's written, the next step is performing, recording, and sharing them so that people can hear your songs. Success is more than working hard. It's working hard on the right things, at the right time, and finishing what you start. Songwriting myth number 12. Genius works alone. Music is a cooperative act. It's more fun with friends. Look, it doesn't matter what you believe. You haven't done anything entirely on your own. You didn't build your guitar, you bought it. You didn't build the smartphone that you use to video your song performance, and you didn't create the social media platforms that you're using to promote your music. You didn't write the code that powers your digital audio workstation. This myth also leads you to believe that I should do it by myself. That is, if I do it all by myself, the music must somehow be intrinsically better. The key to music success is your audience, their opinion, not yours. They care how the music makes them feel, not who or how it was created. Perfection is a virtue, songwriting myth 13. Perfectionism is not a positive. Writing the perfect song isn't even possible. This is actually an avoidance tactic. Trying to create the unattainable perfect song is really the fear that your music isn't good enough and that you're going to fail. Claiming that you need to improve it even more can turn into never actually finishing it. You can release something to the public as a work in progress, get feedback, and then incorporate the useful feedback into a better version. Or you can skillfully craft something, most of something, that nobody ever hears, which is better. Done. Whatever it sounds like is better than almost perfect but never finished. Songwriting myth number 14. There's a best way to write a song. The best way to write a song is to finish it. Lyrics first, music first, who cares? Thinking or arguing about which how is best is not spending time writing. Your audience wants to feel. They don't care how you wrote it. Alright, we made it to the last 3 broken myths. Like I said, you've fallen for them in the past month. Tell me about it in the comments. Alright, we made it to the last 3 broken myths. Like I said, you've fallen for them in the past month. Tell me about it in the comments. Myth number 15. Songwriting tips will solve my problems. Songwriting tips is the most common songwriting search term. Some people don't know what else to ask. Okay, but you do. How many times this month have you thought or looked for the quick fix so that you could avoid dealing with the big problems? The tip. Songwriting, like anything worthwhile, takes time and effort. Focus on writing the song, painting the big picture instead of trying to find a shortcut. Songwriting tips and tricks don't solve big problems. Focus on your songwriting process instead of little tips that, let's be honest, you don't even try them out. Last 2. Songwriting myth number 16. I don't have enough time. Unless you're a single parent with 2 full-time jobs, this is just an excuse. Think about how much time you spent on social media in the past week. I don't have enough time is a modern problem. It's really your priorities. You don't want to do it enough to make the time. You have to schedule time. It doesn't happen accidentally. It happens when you have a purpose. I write for 5 minutes on each break and during lunch at work. I write at night. I write. How many times this month have you told yourself you can't do something because I don't have the time? Here's the last myth that you've believed this month. Songwriting myth 17. I can't afford it. Life is expensive. I'm not talking about spending money you don't have, but valuable things and valuable services cost money. How many times this month have you thought, I can't afford to buy, I can't afford to do, I can't afford it? How many times have you said that? To get to the next level, at some point, you have to pay. For example, if you really want a professional quality recording, you have to pay for professional recording and mastering services. Your home studio is cheaper, not better, than a professional recording studio. Remember, professionals hire professional help. So reframe musical expenses as an investment. If there's a positive return from an investment, that is, if you save time or money or improve your results, then you should consider it. I'm not recommending you spend money you can't afford or add to your debt, but at some point you have to invest in yourself or in help to get yourself to the next level. So how many of these broken songwriting myths have you believed? How many of the last 3 myths have you fallen for in the past 30 days? Tell me about it in the comments. Like this video if you liked it, and check out these songwriting videos or the description link for more songwriting help. Thanks for watching. I'm Trevor Dimoff. I transform musicians into songwriters at epicsongwriting.com.